He gave you something you did not deserve. Folks, I now understand what it means to trust God in ways I've never understood. You've heard this story. You know my story. But what I am trusting in now is God's grace. Is that every day God gives me something that I don't deserve. Whether I'm healed or not healed. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you feel? And I can't tell you how I feel. This is the best way I can describe it. It's like living my life every day with the brake on. You know, you kind of set your emergency brake in your car just a little bit, and then you pull out of the driveway and you're going down the road, and it's like you're driving with your brake on. That's the way I live every day. It's like I live with there's the brake on inside me. That's the way my swelling is a little bit improved. I got a doctor's appointment on Thursday. We'll find out hopefully more. But folks, I don't wallow in the fact that, oh God, and I write on, I want to be healed of my plague. But more than that, I've learned how to trust every single day, every single moment in first place. And that is the grace of God. Amen. That every day God gives me something I do not deserve. Hallelujah. And then in turn, that means this, folks. For every one of us Christian people, every one Christian person in this sanctuary, and every Christian person that's going to listen to this message on the internet, and every Christian person in the world. Before I get to that, let me ask this. What do you think? Now, many of you, and maybe most of you, maybe really don't have an idea, but I do. What would happen to our world? What would happen to our country if every volunteer that volunteers for anything in our country, and there's a million different ways to volunteer, if all of a sudden every volunteer stopped at the same time volunteering, I'll tell you what would happen. Our country would implode. There would be so many of no more of this and no more of that and no more. There would be no more. There would be no more of whatever it is. If it, church volunteers, community volunteers, sports volunteers, school volunteers, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. If every volunteer in our world quit volunteering all at the same time, what do you think would happen? We would implode. Well, I can tell you one thing. We wouldn't have any more music in this church. You understand? Folks, here's the difference. Grace means that I give to somebody something they don't deserve. Christian people, do you, do I, do we on a regular basis practice giving something to someone that they don't deserve? And I'm not talking about your children. They don't, the last thing is they deserve, this. And I'm not talking about your grandchildren. And I'm not talking about our great-grandchildren. Do we practice grace on a regular basis? I enjoy grace every day. God shows me grace. Then it behooves me that if I have given myself over to the Lord, that on a regular basis, I create for myself an opportunity to do for somebody something that they don't deserve. I've lived my own personal whole life from that perspective. My whole life, my whole ministerial life. Folks, when I was working with the Department of Corrections, I did things, and now here, I'm not tooting my horn, but I'm just trying to be an example. We put on Christmas banquets. I wanted to show these criminals, and they knew they were criminals. They were all criminals. I wanted to show those people a kindness, a grace that they had never experienced before in their entire lives. I wanted to make them a prime rib. I wanted to set before them a table. I wanted to set before them china silverware, china plates. I wanted to put on Christmas lights. I wanted to put on Christmas music. And I wanted to provide for them an ambiance and an atmosphere and a circumstance and a situation that those people knew absolutely nothing about. From the time they were born, they were raised in abuse, they were raised in drugs, they were raised in crime, they were raised in being forsaken, they were raised in being given away, they were raised in being abandoned. And way above and beyond my call of duty that I didn't get paid for, that I didn't need to get paid for, I showed them a grace that only Jesus Christ could show through me. The other day, just a few weeks ago, we were in Coeur d'Alene again, visiting our kids, and we were going to go to a place and have breakfast. And from the distance behind me, Daryl. First, I wasn't sure. Daryl. I thought, well, okay, well, I don't know how many Daryls are, but I better turn around. I turned around and looked at him. He goes, how you doing? I go, so I thought, well, okay. This is how you do those kind of things. So I walk up to him. I'm just out front, right? I walk up to him and I go, okay, dude, I know I'm supposed to know you, but I can't remember your name. You know, just put it that way. I know I'm supposed to know you, but I don't recognize you. I don't know your name. And he gave it to me, Dean so-and-so. I go, geez, Dean, how you doing? He goes, really good, man. He goes, really, really good. And I just want to thank you for everything that you did. When I was going to your classes and going to your therapy, he goes, that is all behind me and I'm doing so much better now. He was a young man that had come out of prison. They thought he was guilty of stealing the wallet. I had to go to court for him in Coeur d'Alene on his behalf. He started going to our church services that we were having on Sunday nights for the criminals. I wasn't getting paid for this. Okay? And church services that we had rented this building, and some people in the local churches had given some chairs and done some other things, and I played the congas. We had the organ in this room about the size of, half the size of our fellowship room, okay? And we're packing 35 criminals in there in these chairs, and I'm playing the congas, and Linda's playing the organ, and we got our stuff, and we're having church. And Dean used to go to those meetings. And he goes, I can't thank you enough for what you did for me. Folks, you see, that's the difference. That's the difference. If God shows me grace, then it behooves me, and I must, to fulfill the grace that God has shown me. I must, on a regular basis, practice giving to somebody else something that they don't deserve. Turn now, if you would, please, to Mark chapter 12. Mark chapter 12, as we begin to wind this down. Here's the story that I had alluded to. I've preached on this many times before, but every time I reflect on it, I see it from a different perspective. First of all, I want to start with verse 38, because these guys are in a lot of trouble. Mark chapter 12, beginning with verse 38. And he said unto them in his doctrine, beware of the scribes, which love to go in long clothing and love salutations in the marketplace. They just love it. And they love the chief seats in the synagogues and the uppermost rooms at feasts. Oh, they're so important. They want first place. They want to sit in first chair. Hallelujah. Which devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. Long prayers. And they stand on the street corner and make long prayers. And oh, aren't they mighty in giving themselves over to the Lord. These shall receive greater damnation. And Jesus sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury. And many that were rich cast in much. We need that. We need that. We need that. It's a good thing. Say amen? Amen. Yeah, we need that. I think I told you this before, but I had a guy in our church years ago in Spokane, walked in just one day, it was like on the money, walked in one day, gave me $50,000. I got that $50,000. I said, Kamashila Monday. And then I went right to the phone and started calling missionaries. How much money you need for your project? How much money you need for your project? And gave it all away. Okay? And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. Now, folks, this is God. I'm going to close with this. This is God watching this poor widow. This isn't one of the scribes. Long prayers. Preacher. You get it? Preacher. This is God. God is standing in the corner of the church, and He's watching people pay tithes and offerings into the basket. And then God sees this poor widow walk up and give 2 cents, all that she's got. We do not know her name. We do not know where she lived. We don't know if she had children. She's just a poor widow. And God looks at her incredible grace and makes an example of her and says, verily I say unto you, and by the way, He called all of His disciples. Gentlemen, come over here real quick. Stop your gathering over there and come over here. Pay attention. Stand around here because I don't want you guys to see something. Hurry up before it's over. You guys, Peter, pay attention. Stop talking. John, focus. Watch this poor widow. Watch this. Can you see that? Did you guys see that? Verily I say unto you that this poor widow hath cast in more than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want. But she of her want. But she of her want. You know what she wanted? She wanted grace. She wanted grace. Jesus hadn't died yet. She didn't know what that was about. We look back and we can wrap it up. She needed grace. She wanted grace. Folks, what do you want to hear this morning? Folks, let me tell you what I need more of. I need more of grace. And as I get more of grace, as I get more of that which is in first place, that which, not utterance, not faith, not knowledge, not diligence, but grace is in first place. Can you say amen? Yes. And as I receive more grace from God every day, it behooves me that I give to somebody else on a regular basis something that they don't deserve. And therein lies the fact that I've given myself over to the Lord. Yes. Every head bowed and eye closed. Honey, if you'd come, please.